Hello, hello. Today I'm going to be doing a review on the latest Epic 7 hero, Aubade Ludwig. He's an Ice Ranger, and he's got a really interesting skill kit. I think he's kind of catered to fight some of the meta comps that are currently running rampant in RTA. First, we'll take a look at his skills. He's got F imprint, self, and release. These are both really good. Obviously, this unit is a debuffer, but you'll probably mainly be putting on imprint concentration for him. But there may be a situation where you're running him with other teammates and you want to give F to the broader team. In terms of his skill kit, we'll just quickly look at his S2 first. So he's going to get 30% defense for free. And at the end of an ally's turn, as long as you have 10 souls, you're going to be pushing your CR up by 20%. So this is kind of a bridge built into his kit. So pairing it with another opener like, Renak, RNL, even Zeo, he's basically going to be able to take a turn if you have him tuned correctly. So, assuming there's like a 310, 315 unit that on your team, 20%, you basically only need around 255 speed, 260 speed. But if you want to play it with Zeo, you probably want to push him even higher to around 270 to ensure he takes a turn. His skill 1 is kind of the bulk of his damage. The big thing about it is it does fixed damage. And when he has this buff called Dawn, which he gets from his skill 3 that we'll look at right after this, he does an additional damage that basically uses all of the souls that you have, and it does a fixed amount. So it's always going to start at 1,000 base, but it goes up proportion to how many souls you have. So if you have 10 souls, I believe the multiplier is like 300 damage per soul. If you have 10 souls, that's 3,000 damage from the souls plus an extra 1,000 from the base. That'd be doing like 4,000 damage. So as you can imagine, this can stack. I think the number people said is it stacks up to 80 souls. So if you have 80 souls, it'll do 25,000 damage, which is kind of crazy because it's AoE, right? And I think the big thing about this kit is that's fixed damage. This is kind of really big in today's meta because a lot of units in RTA have, damage limiter like Celine, a Freerin, where you can't really reliably hit them. So having a unit that does this fixed damage makes it a little easier to fight them. Obviously it depends on your draft, but he's definitely a viable option to units like Freerin and Celine, even like a Tori, right? Assuming he can get to this turn. So the big thing is he needs this Dawn buff in order to actually do anything with the extra damage. So to get it, he basically needs to press his S3. So his S3, it's a two dispel, so it takes away 2 debuffs, and then it also gives lock and silence, which are both pretty good debuffs for RTA. As I mentioned, he gets the Dawn by pressing his S3. So this unit needs to press S3 before he can really do anything. If he doesn't get his S3 off, he's not going to be doing much during the turn. He does also get a barrier when he presses it, but the barrier is kind of small and soul burning. I think someone said it's like 1,000 extra health. So it's not like a big deal burning this. So I think the big thing about his kit here, block and silence, when I look at these 2 debuffs together in that order, I'm thinking of things like Yoha and things like Ruel, units that apply buffs to their teammates, and this basically completely prevents them from doing that, right? Even units like Estelle and the Red Biblis that are in the meta, those units also apply like buffs to their team. So this unit is kind of catered to fighting those units. On top of that, he also gives a silence. So when you're fighting something like a Yoha, because block is applied first, assuming you land your debuffs, she won't be able to press her S3, right? And even if she does, for whatever reason, shove off the silence, her teammates will be blocked, assuming you land the debuffs, and then she's kind of like a useless unit. One thing you note is, this S3 only has 85% chance. So you really want to get the new weakening set that you can farm from the Otherworldly Breach. because you need the 100% on this unit. Otherwise, it's going to feel miserable playing him and missing some of these key debuffs, right? Um, this is really important to get the weakening set, and I advise people if they want to play this unit, you should farm at least one set for him through Breach, and also, you can use conversion boxes to help you get that. But yeah, that's kind of a high-level overview of his kit. I'll show my build next. So I've been playing him a lot in RTA in the high legend ranks, and I've had some good success with him. My build personally is a little tankier. I'm running him around 1500 defense, 20k health. My speed is around 258, so like 260. And I'm running him at 170 effectiveness. And I do have a little bit of ER. I don't think it's necessary, but it's just the way my gear rolled. And I actually don't mind it in RTA because you can resist a lot of random little debuffs, right? So this is the equipment score that we're looking at. So again, most of the stats are focused around speed, F, and I'm personally using an HP neck and an HP ring because I think the bulk is very important on him. He needs to get his second turn in order to get his S1 off, right? So you have to press the S3, and then you have to survive one more turn and get around to your S1 for him to actually be effective. So that's why I favor HP for both right sides here, as opposed to something like an F ring. So yeah, this is my current build. I think ideally I'd be able to get him up to like 200 effectiveness and drop some of this F-res, but at this time this is just what I have. I'm also using his own artifact. This is kind of key for him bridging himself, right? He's a ranger, so there aren't too many other options for this. The other one I saw people are using is this Unseen Observer, which is the blue flan artifact, because this is going to give you 10 souls as well. But you have to press your S3 first in order to get those souls. So I really think you need this artifact for him. You don't necessarily need it plus 30. Again, it's not a limited artifact, but if you want to play him to his full potential, that's what you're going to need. So yeah, in terms of RTA, I do have a few matches that I've been sharing with some of my guilds, so I can just quickly walk through how it works. Let me just play the replay actually, and we can skim through. So basically the gist of it is once Ludwig gets a turn, he's going to press his S3, which is going to do that silence and block. And the goal of this game is I'm fighting a Tori, right? This is one of those units I mentioned has the damage limiter. You can't do more than a certain percentage of your health. So my goal is to get Ludwig a second turn, and if I can do that, I'll be in a good position to win, right? So I've gotten a turn here. We can see the damage. I have about 22 souls, so it should do about, 7,000 something damage. He does have an Estelle, so it kind of mitigated most of it, but yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. So whenever he takes a turn, I have the buff. I'm going to do a hit. It also applies stun, and I'm going to do fixed damage, right? So it's actually pretty strong, and you can see he's kind of struggling to maintain his tempo because Ludwig is stunning his team and then just doing a lot of big bonus damage, even against evasion units, right? Another good use case for him. He's going to be able to pop them because it doesn't matter if he hits or not. So yeah, this is one example of how I drafted him. Let me look at another one. Let's look at that. Here's another example. So in this game, as I mentioned, Ludwig is very good if you have an opener on your third slot in RTA, because it guarantees he's going to cut and take a turn, right? So the way I'm using him in this game is I'm against a Yoha and Celine player. So his debuffs are both kind of hard counters to both their kits, right? And as long as I can survive and get my Ludwig a turn, he's going to be able to carry this game for me because his S1 is going to wipe this unit and basically his entire team. So we'll see here. I am sobering it just because I want to ensure he gets a second turn. So see, I landed the blocks here as well as the silences. that's kind of big here because Celine, number one, no longer has a buff, so she can't soul burn and do her like enhanced hit. But also the Yoha is just useless. She had to S1 me. She can't press S3 on any of these units because they're all blocked. So yeah, I guess he selected Celine here. Tried to kill my Biblis. No dice there, and the game is just kind of over. He doesn't have any tempo anymore because Ludwig basically blocked his entire team. And we can just finish him off with Biblis here. So this is another really strong example of using him in RTA with an opener on 3, and then picking him in a 4-5 slot, because he really hard counters this type of draft with Yoha. Then, let's see, I have a couple more. Sure, we can look at this one together. So again, I got the RNL on 3, which means I'm guaranteed to take my turn when he's pressing my S3 here. Again, I'm doing it with the Soul Burn just because I want to ensure that I get that second turn on Ludwig, right? He's the key to my draft. If he dies, it's kind of over for me. So this game, I'm just kind of debuffing this guy to death. So he's going to be controlled here. And what that means is Ludwig's going to be able to take his turn, right? So he'll pass a bunch of turns, essentially. He killed one of my units, but now it's Ludwig's turn, and we'll see the damage here. I have about 20 souls, so that's like 7,000-ish damage AoE. So not only that, I also stunned his whole team, right? Because I have a good amount of F, and the game is just kind of over. So another example of Ludwig being a really solid pick into certain drafts where they have like some sort of damage limiter. Last game we'll look at is this one. So again, as I mentioned, picking an opener on 3, in my opinion, is the most effective way to use him. I've had the most success with him that way. So I'm guaranteeing he takes turn. You saw he pushed up. And as soon as I press the S3, again, this is a Yoha team, right? So I think this unit is a hard count to Yoha simply because of the block, right? So now his team, he's also silenced, so can't do anything. And his team is blocked outside of Arya, right? He could have technically pushed Arya because I missed the block here, but you know, I landed enough debuffs so that Yoha couldn't cleanse herself. And the game is just kind of over here. Again, I have this combo with Biblis and Ludwig, so I'm going to provoke his team, and my Ludwig's going to be able to take his last turn. And whenever he presses S1, the whole enemy team can basically go kaboom. So yeah, that's personally how I've been using him in RTA. I think he's actually quite strong. I've kind of been spamming him, and you know, I've climbed the ladder a lot today, leveraging that. So you can see these are 2 games in a row. Yeah, just kind of final thoughts here. I do think Ludwig is a good character. Is he a must pull? I think if you want to play RTA this season, I think he's a must pull simply because he counters a lot of drafts. Now, his sets are really hard to farm. I'm on Pursuit Weakening, which you can only get from the Otherworldly Breach. He does have a high gear requirement to be super good. If you don't have this Weakening set, I don't think he's pickable because you're going to run into a lot of 15%. Just because of his S3, it will miss a lot of debuffs. But overall, I think if you're an endgame player interested in RTA, he's a must pull. He's very strong this meta, and I'm interested in seeing how other people are using him. I've seen a lot of people use him in kind of cleave setups where I think it can be okay, but I think a lot of people are forcing him early today because he just released and everyone's trying to figure out drafts. But I think his best spot will be on 4-5 with an opener on 3. And, you know, I personally have been using him similarly to the Witch Tenebria. So this unit, again, also has a block. But I think Ludwig is better in the sense that he actually does damage. So he's like an upgraded Tenebria in a weird way. Because a lot of games you need block, right? And if they ban Tenebria, you're out of block. But now we have a new unit that is perfect for that role. And overall, yeah, I suggest people pull one copy if you're interested in RTA. That's it.